What knowledge might save your life one day? Before we begin, do us a favor by clicking that like button, and subscribe to our channel for more top Reddit stories every day. Don't ever stop performing CPR on a person until the EMTs take their body away. CPR doesn't wake up a person, it's to force blood to their brain to prevent brain death so that the EMTs can revive that person. And a CPR buddy to switch with regularly. Even if they don't know CPR, coach them through it, but if at all possible don't do it alone. It is super taxing and your arms will get tired and hurt really fast. As said, you can't stop. Add to this, you need to use a lot of force, you will probably break their ribs. Don't stop, living is more important than one or more broken ribs. Polar bears have insane ADHD. If one is chasing you, intermittently drop clothing items like a hat or gloves. It will stop to sniff them. Normal prey animals don't shed whole pieces of themselves. The bear will be perplexed. Saw on Reddit somewhere else. If it's brown, lie down. If it's black, fight back. Edited, thanks you/horoscope. If it's white, good night. Seriously, brother-in-law was up in the Arctic. They are scary creatures. From the minute they see you out in the open, they see you as meat. Black is fight back. It's not recommended to start attacking a bear under really any circumstances. If someone threatens you with a gun or something and they want to move you to another location, your chance of dying goes up considerably if you agree to relocate. My father was an assistant DA who worked with homicide. He gave me this advice over and over. Years later, someone climbed in my car and threatens me with a gun. And I said no. Took the keys out and threw them. It wasn't a conscious decision. My dad had just hammered his advice in so hard that it switched on. The guy gets out without saying a word and runs. Edit, let's be clear. What I did was very stupid. While you should never allow yourself to be relocated, aggravating an armed assailant rarely goes well. I was very lucky he didn't kill me. Criminals who commit reckless crimes like this are rarely rational, and many end up in jail over shooting someone over nothing. They don't always act in their own self-interests. Drugs are also often involved. I should have handed over my wallet and keys, not throwing them. After telling my dad what happened, he was angrier than I've ever seen him. Never agree to be taken to another location, and never try to agitate your attacker. Give him your wallet and keys, and refuse to go along. You must drive a big-ass car to carry those big-ass balls. Firefighter training. If there is a fire, crawl out of the building. Do not stand up to run. 1 or 2 breaths of smoke are enough to do major damage and require hospitalization, if you get out at all. It may be warm where you are crawling, but standing up can cook your skin and your lungs. The smoke at eye level can be more than 600 degrees Celsius, 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. If you can't see and don't know the room layout, crawl with your feet, legs in front of you, sliding on your ass. Do not crawl face first, or you may take a dive down a staircase in the confusion. This reminds me, if you're caught in a river, while tubing, rafting, etc., you may be tempted to doggy paddle to save energy. But you want to turn your body as best you can to float on your back, so your feet are in the direction of the current. Your feet, loose legs, do not lock your knees, will take the impact of any submerged rocks, etc., and you can push away from them rather than getting a head or chest injury. This is advisable usually only for whitewater scenarios. A side stroke is usually the most energy efficient method of swimming for a rescue if there's no danger of underwater hazards. The instinct of wolves will only cause them to attack/hunt you if they can intimidate you into fleeing from them. Standing your ground against a wolf pack will be terrifying, but will eventually cause them to bugger off. Tigers as well. Don't turn your eyes away from a tiger. There is a story of a boy that had to walk backwards for 3 hours back to his village being stalked by a tiger. The cost-benefit of a prey animal even slightly hurting a tiger is not worth it. It could mean a death sentence in the wild. I broke eye contact by looking down with a tiger yesterday that was behind a fence 3 feet away and he jumped at me. I looked up and he was standing straight up with his arms stretched above his head and claws on the fence. I swear to God he was at least 8 feet tall. I very nearly sat myself. Edit, spelling. If you're being pulled out to sea by a current, swim parallel to the shore while letting yourself be carried out until you're out of its grip, rather than waste your energy fighting against it. Also, thanks to a current UK PSA, don't thrash in cold water as your gasping reflex will drown you. Instead, attempt to float until the reflex passes, then you can address the situation. Holy moly, that reflex. Put a paddling pool out last week to deal with our week of summer. Jesus H, getting in and just trying to breathe normally for the first 2 minutes was a chore. To think people jump into rivers because they're hot, perhaps thinking it's going to be bath temperature or having never experienced the body's reaction to plummeting into ice cold water, but goddamn people, it's not the one. Yesterday someone posted a live leak video of those people who parkour on high-rise buildings falling to their deaths. I'd watch it, but I watched some of them. Some of those people would do like 3 pull-ups before losing their grip. So it seems like if you can't do a pull-up where you pull yourself up to your waist, you may still be fucked. Those people really should have learned muscle-ups first. It's basically the form you should have for pulling yourself up off a ledge. As far as I know, it's one of the most essential basics taught in parkour. We do, but muscle-ups and kips for bars aren't really as fundamental and usually get learned later. What is an essential skill is accessing risk and understanding your abilities and limits, only pushing against them conservatively and with consideration for one's safety. Not everyone succeeds at this 100% of the time, unfortunately. Know how to spot a stroke. An easy way to remember is the acronym FAST. Face, is one side of your face droopy? Can you fully smile? Arms, can you hold your arms out straight? Speech, are you unintentionally slurring your words? Time, call an ambulance right away. Time is of the essence. Edit, RIP inbox. There's a few things I should add to this, based on what some others in the medical profession have said below. The acronym is now BFAST. It is adding balance and eyes. Also, in regards to time, call 911 immediately, but also try to find out when the symptoms started. If they just started, make note of the time. Otherwise, try and find out from people who were around. Finally, you do not have to have all of the above symptoms in order to be having a stroke. One or fewer is possible as well. BFAST is just a good acronym that is easy for the public to remember. In addition to a few other people who helped add to my original post, here is one in particular that I thought was well written. If you're unsure about the movement of a tornado, put a straight object such as a tree or a street light in between you and the tornado. It'll make it way easier to see which way the tornado is moving. If the tornado appears to not be moving, it's coming right at you. Edit, usually the only reference you will have is the width. If it doesn't appear to be moving but is getting wider, it's coming towards you, at which point you want to move perpendicular to its movement. Thank you /start button for clearing that up. In my experience, the easiest way to check if the tornado is getting wider is using an object such as a light post, but if you can eyeball it, more power to you. This is the stuff that makes the hairs in the back of my neck stand up. I have never seen a tornado, but Jesus fuck, the thought of one coming straight at me is just so awesome and creepy. I live in a country that doesn't get them, but I feel exactly the same way from reading that. They sound completely horrifying. I've been ambushed by a very bad storm while skiing and had to face the prospect of digging in for the night. Thank you, French Mountain Rescue, you are genuinely fucking hardcore. But at least if that happens, you're up a mountain and some sort of weird shit is sort of to be expected. Some howling demon thing appearing out of the clear sky is a very long way outside of my experience. If someone gets stabbed, do not take the knife out if possible. If it stays in, it acts as a plug to the hole and will reduce blood loss. Apply pressure around the wound as best as you can and call an ambulance. And if you get stabbed and the attacker withdraws the knife, seal off the wound with a credit card, especially if it's to the lung. Edit, I'm on my way out of the country and turned on my phone to find that this is putting people's lives in danger. By seal off the wound I meant create suction by putting the card flat on the wound. Don't just jam it in there and dig around. I saw this in an instructional video for police like a year ago, and if you get stabbed and the attacker withdraws the knife, do not reinsert the knife back into the wound. You won't align it properly and just make the wound much worse. Make a new wound and leave the knife in that one. How to make a solar still. It could be the difference between life and death if you're stranded in the ocean, or set adrift without direction. It takes contaminated or salinated water and purifies it. Materials: a wide-brimmed, open-topped vessel for holding water such as a pot or a bowl. Plastic sheet, with optional fastening, such as a rubber band or a cord. Any mildly dense small object, such as a pebble or a coin. Cup, or smaller bowl, whose height and width both should not exceed the height and width of bowl number 1. Sunlight. Steps: 1. Fill bowl with contaminated water, not to the top. 2. Place empty cup in center of bowl, displacing some of the water. Don't let contaminated water into cup. 3. Fasten the plastic sheet over the big bowl, but not pull taut. There should be some give. 4. Place pebble on sheet, directly above cup, creating a downward pointing cone shape pointing into the cup. Sunlight should evaporate the water up out of its contaminants and onto the sheet. It'll cling to the sheet, and slope downwards into the cup. Bada bing, bada boom, clean water. Thank you for watching this fantastic story. Please tap one of the 4 videos on the screen for another amazing top Reddit stories.